Right now, it's time to welcome on our next guest with us. Right now, we have Phil Schmidbauer, Senior Director of Analytics and Solutions over at ODW Logistics. Phil, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good morning, gentlemen.
Diving right in, it's Friday, get hyped, and we're looking about things to do as a warehouse to try and lose inventory. Inventory has been all on the conversations, especially with earnings. What are some ways, like how, if you have too much or too little, what are some steps to identify it, and then what are some things you can do to help correct it?
Yeah, well, I've seen a lot of different strategies with getting rid of inventory. Some people sell off inventory, unused inventory to some of these resellers or wholesalers of inventory. Maybe it's giving a lower price to people to move the inventory. I've seen a lot of people recently, do all kinds of different drastic measures just to get rid of inventory and excess inventory. And honestly, I think a lot of that inventory has been sitting in overseas containers, and now that that's starting to loosen up, people are realizing, hey, we've got this stuff available. Let's move it and get rid of it. So I've seen a lot of different strategies to do that, move the inventory. To me, is all about understanding just as much as your inventory is understanding your network setup and making sure that you're set up properly for distribution and based on what you see coming in the demand cycles.
And Phil, one of the big things I start thinking about with inventory levels is starting to be some seasonal items that have to get sold or get in position now because this is the season for them. Do we see any potential expedited processes to pull forward some of these seasonal items, or are we just kind of working around where to store them at this point?
Yeah, I think some people have brought in seasonal items early, especially if you're getting them from overseas because of the challenges that have been at the port. A couple of years ago, we started up a program where we were helping customers rescue containers. And so containers would come in, we'd get them out of the port, transload them, and it was not cheap. It was expensive to do, but it was something we did to help our customers get inventory because they couldn't sell it. So we saw a lot of people pulling forward inventory, and now the struggle is, where are we going to store it? Let's find a place to put it until those seasonal items come up and for sale. And then after the fact, if you have inventory that you can't use because it's a seasonal item, a lot of times you end up with donating it or selling it at a lower cost just to move it.
And looking upstream of the supply chain, understanding some of the risks that we're going through right now. I know not only now we have geopolitical, but economic, like inflation. Has this made the job a lot harder instead of back in the day where it was more of a factor of how much am I paying and how can I save?
You mean in terms of inventory or just moving freight or?
Yeah, understanding in terms of like, if you're a warehouse, trying to understand your inbound, outbound needs and how reliable some of these partners are. Are there any additional factors or risks that you'd want to take into consideration?
Well, I mean, people need to understand all of their risks. We aren't done with supply chain issues. We've seen baby formula shortages with plants shutting down. To me, it's all about understanding the sustainability of your entire supply chain. So when people have inventory, a lot of people got over I think we're a little bit past the challenges of not being able to get containers from the port. But I just saw the other day and have friends in the industry, but we have a CO2 shortage. Has anybody heard about the CO2 shortage where we're not able to manufacture enough CO2 to preserve food and to make soda or pop, depending on where you live and those types of things? So we're not done with supply chain shortages and the things that are being impacted. So from when we operate warehouses, there's always a challenge with making sure you have the right amount of manpower, helping our customers understand the different fluctuations and struggles that the supply chain is still presenting to us today. So things aren't, it seems like every week there's a new challenge in the supply chain. It's interesting.
And Phil, one of those big challenges is making sure that you're in alignment with your customers. Can you talk about that and really making sure that some businesses are really kind of in alignment with what's going on and not just really running inefficiently?
Yeah, we're very good and open with our customers and talking to them about what's the labor situation. We have a lot of customers where we're on calls 3 days a week, 2 days a week, talking about, okay, how is our labor situation? Are we in a good spot from labor rates and getting people to show up to work to make sure their product is moving? Talking to our customers about their demand and understanding coming in from their suppliers. What does the forecast look like? What can we expect in the coming months? So really to run a good warehouse operation and transportation and distribution operation for our customers, it's all about openness, talking with our customers, having strategic conversations, and we really need them to let us in on the front side of what's happening. If they have a big spike in demand or an unforeseen spike in demand coming up, we need to be able to understand that to help provide that service to them. So more than ever, it's all about collaborating with customers, helping them understand those different risks that are coming in the supply chain, and then how are we flexible and able to handle those risks.
And for folks moving into or coming into traditional peak season as well, and for folks not familiar with warehouse operations, is there any specific advice that you would give them as they're coming into this holiday season, or things to be aware of, such as like, hey, we're going to have delays because of staffing or inventory pileups? Any good tips?
Yeah, it's an interesting peak season because things are really slowing down right now, and so the big thing is just be prepared. Be prepared for the unforeseen issues that you're going to see. So you're going to have a spike in demand. So be flexible. So as a provider, we talk to our customers and say, hey, you got to be flexible with us. We have a lot of different things that can get thrown at us, and I think we showed throughout the pandemic that we're very flexible and able to handle those things. So build a little bit of flexibility into your pipeline and your operations, and allow your providers, if you're not doing it yourself, or if you are doing it yourself, be flexible. But if you have providers, be flexible with those providers so they can give you a solution that's going to help fit your need for your customers.
And Phil, before we let you go, in summary, what's going to be one of the biggest things that you think a lot of people should be keeping their eye on, but likely are looking over right now?
Well, I think to me, it all boils down to just continue to try to be efficient. Don't be too stingy to the point where you say, well, we're not gonna pay our provider extra in order to have manpower, right? Don't be silly with it, but be efficient in the way you're transporting goods. Be efficient when you're looking at, we talk to our customers a lot about how orders are written. Are they written to help your warehouse operations so that they can be efficient when they're picking those orders and sending them out? Or do you have a customer that's ordering a minimum of like 3 boxes of a SKU, which makes no sense? Have them order at least a layer or in pallet quantities. So it's all about being smart and helping drive efficiencies throughout the entire supply chain. And so we work with our customers all the way back into the way their customers are ordering from them to try to help look at those efficiencies and drive it. So just be diligent about being efficient in what you do and how it impacts the rest of your supply chain.
Awesome, Phil. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. If people want to reach out, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I can be reached on LinkedIn, Phil Schmidbauer, or phil.schmidbauer@odwlogistics.com.
Awesome, Phil. Thanks so much for joining us today. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll continue to chat with you on some of the issues that we should be watching in this whole situation.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Have a great day.